Or think drunk. Maybe I'm like that Shaolin master of comedy. The drunker I am, the more hilarious it is for you. And just because I mess my shit up, not because it's funny. Right? Members coming in, and this will be some interesting preamble, folks. I want to thank everybody for coming. No, you can talk during this part. I'm just sticking around.
You can sit here or there.
I feel like that's like,
This is like musical chairs.
like hard to get to.
One more.
Okay.
Or maybe slide back and sway this chair if that's a little bit better to sit in. Either way, yeah, that is a bit up the way. Oh well, there we are. Are we all situated, folks? We're getting there. Code on. Yeah, these are like these unreleased tracks that never come out for people, you know, because they're not terribly entertaining or having recorded. I have no idea what I'm going to say or what's going to happen. If some big siren is going to come off. Could all get arrested for this. I don't fucking know. With that last drink of whiskey in mind, I think I'm going to start for real. Hand me that, Mark, just in case I get in trouble here. I'll need it later, but might have to crack it if I lose my place. So this is Truth Telling Volume 8. I can't believe I'm still doing this. Nobody has filed charges against me yet, so something could happen. So these first bits, I think, are lessons in communication. The first one being a wish on my part for direct and clear communication. Many years ago, this will show you how lazy I am. This happened many years ago, and I wrote the bit like 2 weeks ago. Me and the Crunkentine, the great Kayla Lay, Susie's wife, we were chilling on my balcony. And the lady immediately above us, she yelled down from above, "Do you guys know what time it is?" We thought she was asking the time. So we said, "Yeah, just give us a sec." But then she retorted, "Would you like me to ask the landlord what time it is?" Ah, man, come on. Couldn't you just ask us to be quiet? Sorry we were bothering you, but like, what are you going to tattletale on us? Like, come on, we're adults. Man. What are you doing? It's ridiculous. Like, that's like getting an argument with your friend, right? And going, I'm going to call the cops on them. You call the cops like, "Hey, officer, I'd like to report my friend for slander because they just accused me of being the biggest overreactor they've ever seen." Meanwhile, the cop's like, "I don't think that's slander, and you're about the biggest overreactor I've ever seen." Right? So I think the lady realized this shit, right? Because I would have took a simple, straightforward sorry, like, no problem, you know? But she starts lowering down treats from her balcony to my balcony on a fucking fishing rod. Ooh, I'm like, super nice gesture, right? Like, really, like, I thought saying sorry was easier, but okay, I'll take these treats. But then, of course, like, that fucked up too, right? Because, like, you know, it's summertime. She some chocolates. I was out all day, and they melted completely in the fucking bag that she set them down in. Wonderful, right? Fucking great. Then, another time, I was home, and there was like some chips or something on the thing, but then they come loose and nearly took out my eye. So I yelled up to her, "Do you know what time it is?" And before she had a chance to answer, I said, "It's time for me to go to the hospital." Man, if only she had been able to say a simple, straightforward sorry, I would still be able to blink in my right eye. That's the left if anybody's catching it. Just a nervous twitch. I'm getting rid of these wordy ones first when we get to the poems. The next is still in the communication theme. Me thinking about wishing that our communication styles more accurately reflected the way we feel about the people in our lives. Like, you might approach your best friend after a terrible day. "Oh my God, man, I just had the worst day ever. My boss is a knob. I almost got fired. Nothing's working out in my life. The kids are so stupid, I don't even think they're mine." And meanwhile, you're like, fucking, stop looking at your pen while I'm talking to you. You don't even ask how, right? You don't even ask how they're doing. Earlier in the day, you were like, sending an email out to a complete stranger. "Hello, It is my great pleasure to meet you over email. I hope you're doing well. And then you say your business, all my very best. No, you don't mean that shit, right? Like, it's a stranger. I don't understand why we're politer to strangers. It doesn't make sense to me, right? Like, if your interaction with your friend really reflected how you cared about them, it would have been something like, oh, man, I just had the worst day. How are you doing? Like, it's okay if I unload on you for a while because, like, you're my best friend, and I know I can always count on you to talk about my problems. Right? And then you go into your rant of, oh, the kids are so stupid, I don't even think they're mine, right? And, the milkman's been skulking around a lot lately. Scratch that, we'll go more modern. The Amazon delivery man's been skulking around lately. They have his eyes, you know? And, thanks, folks. And don't hesitate to laugh if it is funny. If it's not, like, let it go. But this will help the shit. And I was trying to get the trickier ones out of the way first, but let's see. So, and let me relate this to my life, right? So the emails that I sent to a complete stranger over the last couple of years are emails to universities to try to get them to screen my film, which Michael so generously shot. And if anybody who has screened my film or is considering screening my film hears this, please understand I'm a comedian attempting to make funny observations about human behavior. I mean no offense. So if I was to send that email to university, and this is a complete stranger, so this was to reflect the way I really felt about them, the email would be something like, hello,
The show must go on.
hello, I wonder if you would like to show my film for a fee.
Jesus.
Apparently we're still live.
Yeah, oh really?
Yeah.
Well, the phone battery,
Oh
I
yeah,
guess, will...
okay.
I don't know how that connects. I'm connected to his internet, but
Sorry if this
Data
is...
takes over?
hopefully it does, but I don't know if it's hard to get
Data
that.
takes over.
So,
Yeah.
thank God. Yeah, we can all still hear me, so we're good. So, if I was to send an email to the university and reflect the way I really felt about sending an email to a complete stranger. Hello, I wonder if you'd like to show my film for a fee. You're probably not interested, so this is probably a waste of time. But I think my film is very good, and I think everybody should see it. Also, I am extremely poor and can use every penny I can get. Again, reflection of how we really feel with people in our life. Stranger. Hope nothing bad has happened to you lately. Smell you later, or not, because you probably won't reply. Josh. You ever notice, that didn't go over too well, I got a fucking yawn.
I want you to try it.
It's the power. The power. It was the power. We're not sure what to do.
We're all kind of stunned.
Those were the hardest ones and hopefully the least funny, so let's see if, you ever notice how, like some of the pills you're supposed to take for things are worse than the thing you actually have? It's terrible, right? Like, I've seen this at least twice on television in regards to antidepressants. Warning, may cause suicidal feelings. Really? Like before, I was just profoundly unhappy. Now, I want to kill myself. That shit is way worse, man. Like, fuck. I better go back to my old coping mechanisms of too much ice cream and tequila and unhealthy relationships. Before it's too late. These pills might fucking kill me. Yeah. Speaking of killing, all terrorism is terrible, awful. I'm not trying to make light of terrorism, or maybe I am. Let's see. But to me, the most counterproductive and stupid terrorism I've ever heard of is those cats who bomb the abortion clinics. We gotta save those unborn babies. Yeah, okay, but who is most likely to go to an abortion clinic, right? Pregnant ladies with their unborn babies. Oh my God. I just killed more unborn babies in one go than any one woman would kill in her entire lifetime. Whoops-a-daisy. the reason I'm speaking so calm about this is I just did some MDMA and I realized Jesus loves everybody, even the people I disagree with. Whoops-a-daisy. I guess the only way to really save lives is to put people like me in jail. Whoops-a-daisy. That's a lesson in trying to get whoopsie-daisy over as a punchline. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. But while we're on this jail theme, I'll continue talking. I was talking to a lawyer friend of mine recently, and she said, I asked her actually, I said, hey, you put any bad guys in jail lately? She said, seriously, I think, no, we just send them to their home countries. Really? Okay, so first of all, not only is this evidence that we are once again disproportionately prosecuting minorities, but it is evidence that our justice system is dangerously irresponsible. Because instead of sending criminals to jail where they can't hurt people, we send them to their home countries where they can hurt more people. It's fucking brilliant, right? Like, fuck. And we all know who needs more criminals than a developing country, right? Fuck, I don't know if that's the case. Why don't we send our bankers and politicians to Zimbabwe? Fuck, man, Zimbabwe's got it bad enough. We send our most successful criminals down there. They'll never get out of trouble. Speaking of, I'm getting a smattering of laughs here. It's working kind of, almost. Speaking of trouble, my buddy, Sexy Baczynski, used to travel with Classified on the road across the country in a tour bus. And guys together like that, it got pretty stinky. In fact, it was so bad, you couldn't even poop on the bus. Like, that had to be a separate stop, right? So imagine that, like, sweaty musician guys traveling the country, eating donairs, like, terrible, right? So Sexy decides to invest in these specialized designer underwear called shreddies, which stifle the smell of your farts. And they worked great, except only one problem, man. After you put them in the washing machine, they completely disintegrate. So I'm like, who in the hell would come up with a underwear designer, stifles farts, but like disintegrates in one go in the washing machine? And the best answer I could come up with is an excellent fucking businessman. Imagine that, yeah, like fuck, poor guy with the shreddies, right? Oh my god, these cost me $100 a pair, and I only get one use. But I need them. I'm so stinky. Nobody will be around me without my shreddies. Meanwhile, like, shreddies becomes a big Fortune 500 company, you know? I'll invest. On this topic still of businessmen or not, I've noticed monopolies are getting out of control, like so deeply out of control. Like, I think if you go up the chain far enough, you probably get to like just one owner, right? And that owner is probably AI, so the tippy top trillionaires don't have to pay any taxes, right? And ain't that a philosophy though that we could all get behind? Really, all social classes, right? Like, tax the robots, not the people. I support that. I hope our robot overlords are willing to pay taxes. But then I was looking into this monopoly business. These monopolies are getting so bad. They even got a monopoly on the version of Monopoly that could come out. Not funny. So, you like that. You like the classic Monopoly, no fucking distractions. So even Monopoly, the version of Monopoly is okay. Like, I tried to come up with one. Kind of socialist in nature, like no one person is allowed to make significantly more than any other person, called sharing. You know that they're not going to use that motherfucker. Yeah, we can't have that. That'd be some like dangerous ideas, like give people enough food and a place to live. Wow, fuck, no, we can't have that, because that means the people in power would have to make a little bit less money. And that would just destroy the world. So monopoly my ideas, I guess. Fuck. I just want to let you know, all you, as of this very moment, especially with the power being out, the word cancelled has just been cancelled. Wouldn't surprise me. You all are familiar, I think, with that Carly Simon song, you know? You're so vain. You probably think this song is about you. Right? You know that song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't care how vain that person was. They were right. The song was about them. Right? So, if I was that supposedly vain person, I would have wrote a counter song for Miss Simon, going a little something like this. You're obsessed. You probably should forget about me. But you can't. Can't forget about me. Guess not. Hopefully everybody will forget this someday. I gotta take a drink here, real quick.
Down low,
Oh, down low, it's right between your feet.
Oh,
You might knocked it over, it's gone.
It's gone.
Don't put your sock down.
Oh, I'll get.
I knew that was gonna happen.
Is there an old towel
I
in
didn't
here?
remember that it was on the floor. Oh well, that's cool. I just
Are yourself?
yeah, spilled. I'll blame it on the lights being out. I got the call. Okay, so I won't make it wait till I get a new drink. That's ridiculous. Y'all might be familiar with an old saying. I heard it first from my nan, and this was always a way to like get you to look at the glass half full of your situation by comparison. You know? And I think in regular circumstances it works quite well. And the statement is, no matter how bad you've got it, there's always somebody else that has it worse than you, right? You've heard this before, right? But maybe you haven't, I don't know. Maybe you're distracted, I don't know. Maybe you don't care.
I've heard that.
You've heard that.
I have heard that.
Okay. Well, I started thinking about that, and I was like, can you really say that to a person in a coma, though? Can you say that to a person in a coma? Like, what do you say to the cat in a coma? Like, well, you know, conscious people, like, they have to talk to a lot of assholes in the course of their day. You don't have to talk to any assholes. Yeah, right? But meanwhile, the cat in a coma, right? Cat in a coma, like, he can't move, he can't communicate, but usually they can hear every word you say, right? So he's thinking to himself, oh yeah, I don't have to talk to any assholes in the course of my day, but I sure gotta listen to them. And there ain't nothing I can do about it because I'm in a coma. Yeah, I thought it was funny too. Oh. Thank you, Marky the Man. This will help me for this paper towel right here for this one. Good call, man. Probably going down in minutes. So, I should just put it, like, wrap myself in paper towel for the rest of the show. There we are. There's that. I think you're going to like this next one because I'm trying to build up the funnier shit. So let's see. My friend was recently harassed by a total, complete degenerate. I said there over here. The shocker believe they said it. We get to an argument, right? They said, oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna get my kids to beat up your kids. Oh, jeez, I don't know, man. Like, I should have probably said something like, yeah, well, if you do that, I'm going to call the authorities, and you ain't going to have custody of your kids. You know, imagine how that would play out in the playground. Oh, hey, Billy, why'd you beat up Johnny at recess? Well, teacher, 'cause my mom and dad told me to. Fuck, that's like, I can't even believe, like, and the teacher's like, well, Billy, you better get ready to pack your things because I got to make a phone call, and I don't think you're going to be living with your mom and dad for a while. You know. But and that's what I should have did, right? But like I was fired up, I was hot, you know. I want to stick up for my friend, so I'm like, you know what? I think I can oat cracker these crackers, right? So I said, oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna get my grandmother to beat up your grandmother. And they got real serious, kind of somber. Maybe they realized the ridiculousness of what they had said, right? And they're kind of quiet with the response, you know. And they're like, "Yeah, well, my grandmother's dead." Meanwhile, I'm thinking to myself, well, then that ain't gonna be very much of a fight, then, is it? Nah, man, it's just gonna be my nan swinging her cane at your nan's gravestone. Now if she's done, she like spray paints Ethel sucks over her information. I'm just going to check this real quick and make sure I didn't miss nothing for before I do the end of the stand-up. I think I got it all. Oh man, that's another second. Sorry about that. Here we are. So awkward. I'm not taking a drink, and yeah, I got it. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure, and hopefully this is the funniest shit or one of them. I have never understood the concept of diaries, right? Like, why keep a permanent physical record of your private thoughts? They're for you, not for other people, right? And you could lock that shit up, hide it away. You know, eventually someone's gonna find that shit, crack that lock, and read your secrets, right? Like, it's trouble, man, and you can't say it's the internet. You can't. Like you didn't just click on something accidentally. You just cursed in cursive for 27 pages. You might have been drinking, but you still did that shit, right? Like that wasn't a typo, you know. And you can't say you was hacked, right? You was hacked. Who hacked you? A cat burglar who came in and forged your exact angry handwriting for 27 long pages? No, you wasn't hacked. No, not at all. And look. I don't care if somebody reads that shit after I'm dead. I'm never keeping a diary because I don't want people to know my kinks and what I really think of them. Dear diary, on November 23rd, my audience had terrible BO. I wish they would have put shreddies over their entire butts. Ha ha. Good thing nobody will ever read this because it's locked away safely in my Little Mermaid sex toy drawer. Yeah, and that is the stand-up, and I got some Thank you, folks. I think that wasn't half bad for new shit.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh yeah, I ain't gonna be able to see these poems. Yeah, I know. You know what we can do? That's super lantern, right? It's in the
Where is it?
It's in the hallway by the scooter somewhere. There's a battery loose. That's
What?
You could hold the phone too, maybe Josh.
Oh yeah, or somebody could, yeah.
Or we could prop a phone up on the pillow.
Okay.
We could prop a phone
But
up
there's
on the
not a
pillow.
battery
and
in it?
facing-
Yeah,
Yeah, something
the
like that, right?
battery's right there by the brass box there.
Let's see
By
what
the
works.
brass box?
The other one might be a little bright.
Might be.
Oh, I see it on the floor there.
That should brighten your eyes?
No, I can
Oh,
do
that's
it.
gonna be.
Yeah,
I don't know where
I'm
the
gonna
back
have it on my lap.
You may not need the back.
Let's see.
They may just
Yeah, I think I can read like that. I think.
You're probably gonna have to have
Oh, I think I've got enough light on there with this. Oh, there we go. I definitely have
that could be
enough
the
light
backup if the phone dies.
Okay.
Okay.
We can use that to light them up a little more.
Okay.
Somewhere.
I'm good. This is the perfect light for me here now.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. Geez, I can see better than if the power was on now.
I'll just leave this right on top of the box.
Okay. So bear with me, folks. These are long form poems, and guys, see, this is what I was worried about with the window, but that's all right. It's just reading the other good about the town. Ready to go. I'll just do a little preamble on the poem. So this first one is called After Death, and it's kind of like an exploratory piece on the afterlife, and it's like not so much about a little bit about the particulars, but not a lot about the particulars of the afterlife. More of like speculation between whether there is or isn't an afterlife and what that would look like in either case. So you'll never catch me alive, you lousy coppers. This is called After Death, and sometimes I'm prone to reading these too quickly, so bear with me if this seems a little slow. I want it to come out right when I hear it back too. Hopefully not put you completely to sleep. Perhaps the greatest mystery in all of life is what happens when it's over. In our time in the Western world, I suspect most would be emphatic that nothing happens at all. If we live forever, why aren't our departed loved ones constantly communicating with us? Many others would be just as emphatic that they are indeed communicating with us. It's just that we haven't the capacity to hear them. My own take is that it's unfair to expect spirits to have voice boxes, and if they had them, the mental hospitals would be overrun with everyone who misses their friends. So, it may be best for our collective health that the non-believers win the day when it comes to definitive proof about what happens after breathing. Let's assume for a stanza the non-believers are right. Aside from no one being able to congratulate them, their victory is not to be feared. You may be curious about life before you were born. Perhaps you idealize the past and wish you had lived in some previous golden age. But your nostalgic yearning for days before you is only a wishful dream. You cannot remember terrible experiences you never had, and you can't long for happy times you never lived. Non-existence is inconceivable from our vantage point, and even more inconceivable from its own vantage point. I think most of us would choose to be, even the majority of suicides, who cannot bear the misery of this life, might be willing to try one where their experiences weren't so terribly painful. But there is no pain at all if we cease to be. No possibility to miss the best times we've known. The worst possibility for non-believers is to have lived badly, to have had irredeemable regrets, and to have missed out on things from fear, indecision, or procrastination. I miss out on life because of health. That is different. I'm doing pretty close to the best that I can. So to the atheist, I say, give it all you've got. Don't do anything so horrible that you can't take it back. And leave nothing important undone. Because this is all there is. And the time to do it is incredibly short. For the believer, I don't think our lives on earth are quite as crucial, unless the way we've lived brings inescapable damnation. Non-existence is preferable to an eternity of torment and torture, or those awful hell loops I've heard about, where the sinner must live their worst day over forever. That poor good Prometheus, who made the fatal mistake of teaching mankind how to use fire. But even poor Prometheus had Hercules save him. My fondest hope is that, even if I've done things judged to be terrible, they can be forgiven eventually. Accepting the threat of damnation, life on earth might not be quite as important to a believer because, after death, there is still time to learn and love and to repent and forgive. And we can do it so as our true selves, without the limitations of our bodies. My spirit does not have cerebral palsy and an untreatable urinary disorder. It is limitless and perfectly me, and the power goes on in me. My spirit brought the power out.
Yes. I'm a believer.
Let you all be converted. Watch that now, cut out the fucking stream or something. Oh, well. It is limitless and perfectly me, lacking nothing and surrounded by love, indestructible and forever. But that is not to say our time on earth is meaningless. I'm not sure we can learn as much in our perfect eternal states. Lessons might be best received in an ever-changing environment. I heard a beautiful statement just the other day, and I wasn't feeling well at all. If there are no rules, then there is no entry point for the light to get in. Some go as far to say, as our souls agreed to this life beforehand, eager for the lessons, however painful they may learn. I have long believed that this is a process where no one could get it quite so right or wrong to end up in heaven or hell after just one go. I think we do the mortal thing until we've learned all it can teach us. If you have been so fortunate as to get the feeling that there may be more than here, I'd ask you to live as though there were. Try your best to bring the things to earth that you believe would be in heaven. If you have no sense of life after here, I think that is perfectly fine. I'd ask only that you follow your conscience and try to do what you believe is right. I feel that is a great deal less dangerous than to be swept up in a religious fanaticism where you are too brainwashed to get to know your conscience at all. And still, even if this one life is part of a much larger, maybe infinite process, the clock is ticking on what you can do here on earth during this point in history. I would be less worried about making a mistake than leaving something important undone. There's a reason you're here now, so do your best to figure it out, fulfill your destiny. You don't want to be wondering what if while you're dying. I worry a great deal. Will I have enough time to complete my goals and to stave off discouragement enough to properly fulfill them? And when it's over, will I have been good enough to avoid damnation and be granted the blessed reunion with everyone I've lost? So I guess I better try to be someone I can live with. One small solace. If the non-believers are right, no one will be around to tell me how wrong I am. And if I am right, then they can congratulate me, and I can congratulate them, as we all enjoy the world without suffering together. Thanks, folks. 3 more to go. This next piece is, I would say, the first of 2 contentious pieces. And those of you who are Buddhist or Buddhist-leaning may not particularly like this or may take issue with it. Buddhists probably will, because this is a critique of Buddhism. And as simply as I can put it, it's that I don't think like the whole giving up attachment to overcome suffering. I don't think that's right, and it doesn't. It's not life affirming enough for me. And that's not to say like if you're a Buddhist or a Buddhist person does this and it does it for them, like great, but it doesn't work for me. So that's it's my reflection on that. And my problems with Western Buddhism, as I understand it, which is limited, I suppose. But it's called that Dharma doesn't work over here. Just after high school, I went to my first high school party. I'm usually well behind the curve when it comes to regular life experiences. The host had an ornate Buddhist shrine, and he bade everyone to move with extreme care as they shimmied past it to smoke on the other side of his window. I asked sarcastically, isn't the point of Buddhism to not be attached to things? He agreed that it was, but was either too polite or too oblivious to catch my drift. All this time later, I recall that it was a beautiful shrine. I wondered why he was so careless as to put it in the path of stumbling teenagers in a hurry to smoke. Before I get too far into this, I want to state that I have Buddhist friends, and if you are fulfilled by the teachings of your Rinpoches, then much of what I am about to say is probably worthless. I'm not so egomaniacal as to think I have a better way for you if you have found real happiness. I hope that you have had time to think carefully about your values and the opportunity to deeply question what you've read or been told. so that you are able to live your truth fully of your own volition. And you haven't just accepted something that doesn't feel right to you because someone supposedly more experienced told you to. I read the teachings of that famous Rinpoche, the guy from around here who drank too much. I enjoy strong stiff myself, as is obvious during the show, so I can't fault him for that. When he claimed every other view was simply a perspective, but Shambhala was the way, I must declare I couldn't possibly drink enough to believe it. I suppose a proper Buddhist might respond that if I were enlightened enough, I would see what he meant. I state with great pride that I will never be so enlightened. Then I suppose those who are would say I must lose my pride altogether to really get the gist. Even if they are on the right track, I'd like to remind them of that famous teaching that says, if you meet the Buddha on your way, then you're to kill him. This is a reminder to be wary of all teachers and to make sure you follow a path that is truly yours. I would like to caution the great teachers that metaphor is lost on the dogmatic, and nuance is not for nincompoops. Killing Buddhas is never the thing to do. I'm paraphrasing, but I believe the message is that attachment causes suffering. Even if I concede that is true, I wonder how we're supposed to move through life without heaps of attachment. I will concede my experience is limited, but whenever I've known someone to seriously embrace a path of non-attachment, their manner feels clinical and cold, tremendously lacking in love, the most important ingredient in the human experience. And yes, I know about the bodhisattvas. Hello, Double O. Are you a bodhisattva? I'm in the middle of doing the show, in the middle of a poem, but I'm glad to have you in. Come on in, Scooby-Doo. The power's back on. This is for you. That could have been some other drunk that I don't want to.
We just enjoyed the message.
Yes.
So I was on the Bodhisattvas here, so let me find that. Yeah, okay. Yes. Yes, I know about the Bodhisattvas. Those who have vowed to continue to incarnate until every blade of grass has achieved enlightenment. But I think Bodhisattvas are rare, and I'm not so sure they've got it quite right either. I'd like to further question how we are to move through life without desire. Is it not the motivation behind every action we take, both selfish and selfless? I've yet to meet a person who could just be without the pursuit of goals and achieve any measurable amount of happiness. Pursuing things I care about is the only thing that saved me from suicide, not total detachment from outcomes. But maybe I've got it all wrong. Perhaps a good Buddhist would contend we should pursue it all with everything we've got. Try not to be crushed when events don't transpire as we reflect. That is an outlook I might try to embrace, but it has never been too clear to me if that really is the ultimate Buddhist goal. There's a wonderful place to fully embrace detachment from all desires and worldly affairs, and that is the monastery. If you want to be an ascetic for your whole life, or even for a while, I'm not sure there's a perspective more helpful than Buddhism. But if you want to be in and of the world as much as you possibly can, I think you need to be moved by a passion that can dig all the way in. I am in some ways a great contradiction to this, because I've had to develop a serious stoicism to accept the way the world sees me. And my health won't allow me the adventure I desperately crave. If we could somehow clear it up, I'd do all the things regular cerebral palsy allows. Couldn't climb any mountains, but I'd go wherever I wanted, gleefully take in some ravishing natural beauty. With the limits of a broken body, I seek a philosophy that digs into the world where I am unable. I prefer the stories of Tintin and Corto Maltese to a philosophy of non-attachment. My best Buddhist friend says, you can't need anything outside of yourself to be happy. But he hates being single just as much as I do. We are born into families, however good or bad they may be. We go to school, and most go to work. If we are lucky, we make a couple real good friends along the way. We are not born in a vacuum. We are meant to interact with others. So I think it is very natural that other people play a crucial role in our happiness. That is not to say one should always be partnered or social, because then there may not be enough time to reflect or grow. But I think a life without loving connections is not really a life at all. And I think coming better to a show late is better than not coming at all. When I think of most other religions, I am reminded they are usually concerned with other people. Far too often, that concern takes the form of hatred. Just look at the history of humankind and think of all the wars that were and are fought in the name of God. I can't help but think that sometimes we are not civilized enough for the concept of God. Out for a smoke already? Jesus. But then I remembered that a great many people who believe abhor violence, but teach and practice to the best of their ability that God is love. For the Buddhists, God doesn't usually factor in. But their concept of mind, well, with a capital M, is not quite the same. It's not entirely different. I would be remiss to mention I am not familiar with a Buddhist war. I'm sure they have happened, but they can't be as common as most. I don't know how else to interpret 20th century history than as Buddhists being horribly persecuted and driven out by communist China. I have heard of sex scandals in the monasteries, similar to those of the Catholic Church. But I don't think those scandals are the fault of Catholicism or Buddhism necessarily. I think they result from human beings not being able to overcome their worst impulses. If there were no religion, there would still be sexual abuse and more. We have yet to overcome the impulse to violence on a large enough scale to enable a peaceful world. I suppose one could contend Buddhism is the safest of all faiths, given its comparative lack of violence. But safety beyond basic food security and shelter from harm doesn't really define us. What about the creative impulse, the large wide spectrum of human emotion, and the zest for life that encourages us to live it fully? I don't want to be a monk or an ascetic, at least not always and forever. I want to be tuned in as much as I possibly can be. So I'll leave the detachment necessary to overcome suffering to those who think it's a good idea. Oh, thank God you're not doing stuff about to get me evicted. You're just chilling in the corner that I couldn't see. Hello, Double O. I got two more poems. The next one's kind of long, but then the final isn't too bad. We got two more to go, and boy, this whiskey's tasting good. I hope I don't spill. So this next number, I always wanted to be a singer. I'm so vain. I know the song is about me. So this is like kind of a little exploration about how, and a critique from my end of how in the modern days, particularly in the last 10 years or so, there's been a great proliferation of disability identities. And there are new and real disabilities, but I think a lot of them are a crock of shit. And it undermines what I've lived in my life, having a legitimate. And again, that's not to take away from invisible disabilities that like environmental sensitivities or something like that. But I think there are a lot of disabilities and a great scramble for diagnoses that just medicalizes everyday suffering, and I think it's very dangerous and misleading and offensive to me. And I'm sure this will be a great contention and problem for the supposed 27% of people who claim to be disabled. And I might bat my eye at them and say, I ain't sure you really are. So this is called "We Can't All Be Disabled," and a little intro to set up the way the world is right now. I guess I don't know if I need this stanza, but I like the way I wrote it, so fuck it. These times are more perilous than any I have known. The boom of babies and prosperity following World War II is ancient history. In some places, especially in the third world, times are as bad as they have ever been. But in my first world city, there are too many people and not enough resources. More importantly, the goodwill necessary to care for them does not exist. Many more than ever are homeless or struggling to keep their place as landlords skyrocket the rent. Wealth continues to run upward. The middle-class Canadian dream is nearly dead. If you ask me, poverty is a crime for which we should hold the rich responsible. But being poor in and of itself is not a disability, even though it may be a disease. Malnutrition or any kind of mental or physical health crisis may result when basic needs are not met. But this piece is a bit more about regular conditions, even though every day normal is being redefined. I spent all my school years, primary to 12, riding on the special bus. In those days, special was the most correct term for it. During those 13 years, I saw pretty much the entire rainbow of significant physical and intellectual impairments. On the physical spectrum, I landed anywhere from mild to somewhere in the middle in terms of severity. On the intellectual spectrum, despite initial efforts to put me in the special classes, I was always near the top of my class until I began to have emotional problems in grade 9 and lose interest in school entirely. I never did gain it back, but still managed to slack my way above average, even though I lost the ability to be the best. It wasn't until my 30s that I began to see disabilities I never heard of. I don't mean invisible things like environmental sensitivities or irritable bowel syndrome. I was already hip to those on the school bus. My elementary went scent-free in the later years, much to the chagrin of stink-shy, prepubescent grade 5s. Mrs. Kilbert did her best to assure them scent-free deodorant was just as effective. The kids didn't believe her, and I didn't particularly care because at 10 years old, I wasn't worried about how I smelled, or shreddies then. So I wore no deodorant at all. I got hip to irritable bowel syndrome playing baseball. Nah, baseball didn't make me poop. But I remember my mother fighting her way through the bathroom. She would struggle to get me to the games and to actually watch me play for any reasonable amount of time. The great proliferation of new disabilities occurred sometime after the early days of my stand-up career. In those first days, there was a comic, the same age as me, whose heart was mostly in the right place. His head, unfortunately, was not. His crime was being annoying in a manner he couldn't control. This resulted in him being much maligned. Comedians are not patient people. I thought he should mostly be given a pass, but I found it difficult to be around him too. His troubles affected his work. He could stumble upon some good material, but lacked the discernment to separate the better jokes from the bad, so he wasn't able to evolve much artistically. People thought he was an asshole, but my school year's experience taught me he was doing the best he could. Somehow, we've gone from a period of slight underdiagnosis to extreme overdiagnosis. In just a few years, sorry, that was the end of the sentence, just a few years. In the 2000s, that poor fellow didn't have any known disability. Now, he would probably have 12. By any reasonable metric, he probably has 1 or 2. I have never seen so many ridiculous diagnoses as I have in the last 10 years. If everyone has a disability, then no one has one really. There needs to be some reasonable criteria by which to judge legitimate impairment. The first being how it affects your daily life, and then we must probe a little deeper and examine to what degree your supposed disability impacts bigger picture things like I always talk about, like dating, making friends, and doing business. Bearing these considerations in mind, we may well be able to separate the wheat from the chaff. If you think I am too harsh, I ask you to consider things as deeply as I have. If someone is not as disabled as they present, it may be better for the cause. If they were as ill as they claim, they simply would not be able to do as much of the important advocacy that they do. Delusion may well be its own impairment, but I think it should be considered reality dysphoria and not counted as just another disability. I dated someone who had every condition known to man, all of which were pre-diagnosed, which is a funny and fancy way of saying, at least right now, you don't have the thing, including my very own cerebral palsy, which can be quite mild, but a person cannot have without any signs. To this armchair psychologist, that sounds like one serious case of borderline personality and a whole pile of troubles that result from not being able to see things anywhere near the way they are. And now we live in a time where nearly everyone wants a diagnosis. According to the current DSM, every human on Earth technically has something wrong, whether they want to or not. This says a couple of things. First, if every human being technically has a mental disorder, then the whole world is incredibly sick. But it also medicalizes everyday struggle. And that is incredibly dangerous because it convinces people they are sicker than they are. And it seriously undermines significant disorders if they are classed the same as peccadillos. Peccadillos, I'm not sure. I should have used the word that I know how to pronounce it. My close friends are well familiar with the story of the guy who can't wear Shakespearean breeches because of his club foot. And if you're not familiar, all I need to say is that it's not even close to my total inability to stand still without support. I will not have my challenges undermined by soft and confused people. I have fought too hard and too much to be compared with a person whose impairment is merely a modern-day convention. If you think I am being too harsh, I'd ask you to consider what it might sound like if I were to say, well, if we go back far enough, we all have a common ancestor in Africa, so I'm just as black as anyone else. How do you possibly take me seriously when you can see your own reflection in my near translucent skin? Any person of color would have every right to be furious with me. Or what if I were to say, well, technically it takes a while before X chromosomes become Ys. So since we're all X's to start with, I'm just as female as anyone. And creepy guys have hit on me too. So me too. I would expect any reasonable woman who has lived her life would be absolutely furious with me if I really meant that nonsense. I cannot know what it's like. The pretenders, armed only with their hangnails and recently invented conditions, can have no idea of the genuine struggle of what it is to be disabled. Have your humanity denied in existential ways like in those big picture things I mentioned above. To such an extent that you are forced to question if in fact you are human at all, and not some displaced alien who lives in a foreign world. Society has summarily dismissed the delusionals who claim to be transracial. How can one appropriate the struggle of a person of color to their own white privilege? I think that the folks who claim to be transability are even worse. Racial minorities have suffered because of bigotry. Disabled people suffer because of bigotry and because their bodies or minds do not function at full capacity. If you want to have wheelchair sex because that's what turns you crank, I say wheel on to your orgasmic content. But, serious stuff's funnier than comedy. But if you want to pretend You need that wheelchair in your daily life when you do not. Or worse, you decide to lop off your arm because you believe deep down to the core of your soul you are actually an amputee. I don't want to talk to you. And I hope you can find a therapist to convince you you have as many limbs on the inside as you do on your body. People do this shit. I'm not, this is a real thing. I think the modern explosion of diagnoses is misleading. There are, of course, new and real conditions, but I think we have classified suffering in dangerously specific ways without suggesting corresponding cures or coping mechanisms. I heard from a friend who thought that she may just suffer from having a disorder around having a crush on someone, which when I read more closely was actually just having a bit of an obsessive crush. Can't even say that, I'm so riled up. Who among us has not had that, at least a couple of times in our life? These phony conditions not only convince people they have more problems than they have, but they prevent us from railing against real things like climate crisis, poverty, and war. How can we fight these while battling 37 conditions that would not have existed 20 years ago? And please, just like I cannot, should not, would not claim to be a member of another race, do not claim to be disabled without first carefully thinking about how your disability affects you. Because these phony disorders not only undermine my struggles and suffering, they undermine my whole life. Yeah, thanks, folks. I close it off with, and I need a drink of some oddly tasting water because the plastic in this jug is gone sideways a bit. So, I'll get through this last one hopefully without some violent stuff. I saw you, Tonto, but it's more effort to reach under the bed and unscrew a kneecap. So this last poem will be like being on a seasick voyage.
We got the paper towel handy.
We do get the paper towel handy. And luckily for me, the toilet is right directly in front of the recording, so that would be quite a way to if that's the way it should happen. I think this last one is the shortest of the bunch, and this was really helpful to me. It might be helpful to you, like when you feel sad and stuff. Times like obviously like that sucks because like nobody wants to feel sad, but I think it can be a great help to you because I think like I don't know. It could be a catalyst for motivation for change, and also like if you're doing work artistically, it's helpful because like say you're writing a feverish excitement, right? You know, yeah, it's great ideas and stuff, but you're so excited, like you might not have like a dependable kind of edit in yourself that's gonna like limit that stuff. But when you're sad, like you're self-doubting at every move, right? So like. But if you're still managing to like do whatever you do and be creative a bit, then like the stuff that makes it through as that's acceptable is probably of better quality. So this is a little examination of the positives of what that could look like, and it's called Embracing the Sadness. I'm here to tell you that if you should find yourself feeling it is not entirely a bad thing. Of course, no one enjoys feeling profoundly unhappy, and I think it's a disastrous waste of life should you stay there. But if you find yourself temporarily under the cloud of sadness, and you manage to keep going, your pain can be a great teacher, and you can reap tremendous rewards. If you find yourself perplexed, and disappointed that life didn't unfold as you'd hoped, and you seriously question the point of going on, then I should like to offer you my sincere congratulations. For you are among the very best and the very worst of us, and pretty near everyone in between. You are currently enduring one of the most important experiences you can have as a human being. If you've never had the chance to question your circumstances, you go blindly through the motions without feeling anything about them, you are in far worse shape than if you have become deeply upset about life. In the latter case, life has bitten into you, and you now have a great catalyst to effect real change. In the former case, you have ceased to live. Feeling low can be more manageable than feeling high. I'll take depression over anxiety any day. And in some cases, I'll even take it over wild excitement. I don't mean to say that I'd rather be suicidal than happy, but should the sadness stay within the boundary of still wanting to live, it can be a great, cozy, warm blanket. As an artist, there is a great deal less output, but should you not lose your creativity and effort entirely, what you produce will likely be of much higher quality. All that slow self-doubt and scrutiny eliminates the lower quality work. The speed of excitement fooled you into thinking it was good. Sadness makes a severe but powerful and dependable editor. And what a great relief it is to work at a nice slow pace, rather than that frenetic flurry where your fingers can't keep up with your thoughts, and both they and your brain run with nervous exhaustion. I'd much rather wrestle with what's the point than be overcome by the fear of what if I should die before I can get it all finished. The intensity of the worry might just provoke the fear into reality. Those quiet emotions make for a peaceful mind. You will probably sleep better. And I know well how much that can lighten the pressure. Sleep has saved my life. I've had my mind ravished by its extreme lack. Though oversleeping might make you lazy, trust me when I tell you, you would much rather be lazy than feel your sanity slipping away. Embrace the quiet. Take all the rest you need. There may come times in life when your plate is too full to allow proper rest, or worry and dread won't let you be. So do your best to appreciate the malaise of melancholy while you're able. And if little and regular life is making you feel good, sadness can be a wonderful help to try something completely new. What motivation is there for change if everything feels wonderful? And if there is no change, there can be no growth. I am firmly convinced that we are not meant to go through life remaining exactly the same, though most of us may remain the same at our core. That core is strengthened and becomes more dynamic with new ideas and experiences. The best part of these unhappy times is when you can reflect on them by comparison. If you are making a very good effort, you are unlikely to be under your gloomy cloud forever. So don't eat cookie dough and watch reality TV all day. You can do it some of the day, but maybe have a nice hot bath and spend other parts writing about the thoughts that are crossing your mind. Share those thoughts with others if you can, and then maybe a new connection is formed, or an existing one reinforced. And then, as if by magic, your TV time is cut way down, and you are taking a nice, vigorous walk in the park. Things have a way of snowballing, and before you know it, you could land upon your happiest times, even though right now they seem further away than another planet. I am grateful for this boat of sadness, because without it, I would not have written this piece. And I have done life long enough to know that if I don't throw in the towel all the way, or bury my head in sand completely, things will get better, as long as I engage with life as best I can. And when I get to greener pastures, I can enjoy them all the more because I made it through this to get there. That's it, folks. We can relax.
How's the seasickness?
Oh, fine. It's the one who's not too good. So just the plastic taste food.
Microplastics.
I'm not legitimately, although the DSM will say I'm the rest, right? Like 18 million. Oh, but and if anybody's curious, that I can't pronounce it right, but that the thrush disease is called
limerence.
That and it's not a fucking disorder. I looked the shit up. It's not real.
I think it's just a concept. I don't think it's a real.
Yeah, same as like there's reciprosexual.
Yeah.
Which is last.
Do I
Yes.
have time to sprint to the bathroom?
Oh, absolutely. I'm good for some reason. I don't know why, but I don't need to go there this minute. I should have been, but I know the booze and the power. Yeah, maybe it's the electricity. Maybe the power is like relaxed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for fucking recording that, and hopefully some of it made it to YouTube. And, do you think was it still going when we were out?
Still going now.
Still going out? Yeah, well, this is a good little thing. Yeah, thanks everybody for fucking coming, and Tonto for peeing, I think, and Double O for coming in the corner, and that gave me a funny thing to do in the middle of the poem. So,
I was wondering if you could do the whole thing over for me. I missed, at least the parts I missed.
Yeah, rent money for the month, and I sure will.
I was thinking 20 instead of 10.
Well, I do 6 acts for less, so maybe. Let's see. That was wild. Power Roads in the middle. I love it. Turned me on.
That was cool.
Yeah, when I arrived, actually, I was confused because it was just this specific area. Everything else had power all around me. I was like, what's going on here?
Oh.
So
It'd come back though, wouldn't you?
yeah, the elevator downstairs is going nuts.
Oh,
I was talking with some people, some residents about it. Apparently, there's no on-site people.
I think I read those poems more slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I was really working on that because and like it's not too, like when I watch it back, I was like, oh fuck, that shit's too fast. Like it ruins it because it makes me feel unprofessional. You know?
Mm.
Yeah. What did that work out to be, Mike? Well, 55 minutes or so, or
I think it's just what does it say?
well, it's probably
Is it
over
67
that
or
now.
57?
Oh, okay, yeah.
6, 7.
6, 7. Hour and it was
Yeah.
about an hour and 3 minutes.
Yeah, we were a little before the laughter, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's all good. Yeah, nice turnout.
Good job, Josh.
Yeah,
job,
thanks.
Good job.
Especially the part where you said everyone has mental illness.
Yeah, right.
It
which
got
is-
me thinking. What does he have? What does she have?
Well, that's, but like they can't, right? Because then if you do, then the people that really do have it like nullify. I think it nullifies that.
Oh, I agree.
And
Very good.
yeah, because like, and I mean that's contentious to people now, right? Because they want to diagnose it, and they might say, oh, I'm not seeing their you know what the validity of their struggle or whatever, and I think I am in the sense that I think everybody struggles, but I think the rush to medicalize it, especially without fucking corresponding cures or coping mechanisms, is very like talking to your grandparents, like they wouldn't know what English shit is. Like they never heard of it. They had hard times, man. Not these like I mentioned it, I think it was reciprosexual. So that's an orientation supposedly where you can't be attracted to another person unless they are attracted to you first. So it's the only orientation I ever heard of where no two members of the same orientation could actually get together. You like me first, no, you like me first, no, you like, oh, what's happening? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Pharmaceutical lobbyists for the antidepressants have to live they need.
Yeah.
They need to cut the pie.
Oh yeah, you missed that part because I actually had a joke about that about antidepressants and some of the side effects being suicidal feelings.
Counterproductive.
Yeah.
You can't tell him all that stuff. He needs to pay at least $20.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, $1 per
For the
only
recap.
things that I reveal.
So I heard last week that they took what was it called? It was that pill for to quit smoking off the shelves like a year ago because of suicidal thought.
Ooh.
What was it called? No, the big one, the one that
Oh,
everyone's.
Xanax or something?
No, the quit smoking.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
yeah.
champion?
Yeah, Chapin.
Yeah.
I heard that they took it off the market about a year ago because of so many people with suicidal thoughts. And
Crazy.
perhaps they followed through with it, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's been a while, and I was like, what?
Make you wanna go back to smoking.
Yeah.
A friend
Yeah,
of mine
back to the usual
said
coping
that,
mechanism.
but he said that he wanted to kill himself the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Oh.
And he's
Back
he's
when
a happy-go-lucky,
you go that fast.
fun guy, so it was weird to
Wow.
hear him say
Take your
that.
poison.
Yep.
But at least he quit smoking. Good that he didn't kill himself in the process, though.
yeah, my lungs are clear, but I'm dead.
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. I'd rather smoke until you die from lung cancer.
Yeah, if it comes down to that, right? Because that's going to be slower. You're going to have more.
Exactly. Live your life.
I noticed on the cigarette packs now, my brother had a cigarette pack and now they're showing like black toes. I'm like,
Ooh.
Nice.
what?
Nice.
What does this have to do with cigarette smoking?
That's the old black toe, man.
You sure that's not
Yeah.
like smoking with your toes? 'Cause you're
Yeah, maybe they're
Yeah.
they have
Whoever says that, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm gonna quit smoking because I don't want black toe.
Is everybody else good for the bathroom? Because I think I might pop in
Oh
there.
yeah. Yeah, those smokers are never out there wearing sandals.
That's-
Tube socks only.
Yeah, that's right.
When I quit smoking, they would show the yellow teeth.
Yeah.
So that was, that was kind of normal.
Teeth,
But
impotence,
now I'm like
killing
10
babies.
15 years later, I look at my brother's cigarette pack. It shows black toes. I'm like,
Those may be dead toes. They're showing you the result, the end result.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your
Yeah,
corpse
thanks
will
for-
Your
decay
corpse
twice
literally-
as fast.
What's that, you got it, bro?
I'm like, you better
Oh,
go back
okay.
and smoke and show me your toes if they start to get black.
I miss the days when they
You
showed
work
the
over
cut open